How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be working on the celica, and I have my little box of parts. I have my little box of parts here. This has been sitting in my room for like 3 months now because of the cold weather. I'm just going to be doing maintenance today, like air filter, oil, spark plugs. It's kind of like performance upgrades, but not really. I mean, instead of regular oil, we're putting synthetic. Instead of just replacing the filter, we're putting an intake on it. And for the spark plugs, we're putting iridium cord spark plugs. So we're gonna gain 0.5 horsepower today, and all for about $50 to $100. I have this little thing right here. This doesn't really add any horsepower, but I just thought it was funny, and we'll put it on the car somewhere. I got my little trailer of tools here that's been sitting in my backyard, but I'm trying to figure out a way to get all my tools over to my car since my shed is all the way down there. Today is literally the first day where it's like 45 degrees, but it's sunny and it's not raining, so it feels a little warmer. But I thought today, even though I'm a little cold, was the best day that I could possibly work on my car. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle the spark plugs first. Then I'm going to do the oil, and then I'm going to do the intake last. The reason why I'm going to do the intake last is because when I change the oil and the spark plugs, I'm going to do like a little rev comparison and see what the throttle noises sound like in the engine bay. So I'll do a little before and after I do these spark plugs and oil. To be honest, the first actual modification slash fixed part that I got was this little clip right here, because when I put my hood down, I actually have nowhere to clip the holder, so when you're driving you just hear it like rattling around and it's kind of annoying. So I bought this one. So these are the new spark plugs I got. They're pretty normal and generic, but these are like iridium, like plated or whatever. So I'm just gonna say that they're performance spark plugs, if that makes any sense. So one trick that you actually want to do when you're putting in a new spark plug is you want to get a rubber hose and stick it on the end of the spark plug, because if you just drop your spark plugs in, you could actually change the gap and you can make the diode touch the metal, and that would cause a misfire. I've had this happen to me like plenty of times, so I usually just stick this rubber hose in and thread it a little by hand, and it all works good. So now what I want to do is I'm going to change the oil, but in order to do that I have to take the skid plate off. So this skid plate right here needs to come off. I think I'm going to take it off for good because I want to make one out of metal. That will be better, because this one's a little bowed and bent in the middle. So this screw hole, I don't even know where that goes if I wanted to like tighten it down like that. So I'm just going to take this off, and one day I'll make an aluminum or steel skid plate for this. So it's kind of wet under here. The oil pan is covered in oil and various substances, so it might need an oil pan gasket, or I'm going to spray it down with some brake clean and check and see where exactly it's leaking from, or if it's like leaking from everywhere. So this skid plate tray thing is all like bent up and stuff and bowed, and the only way I can get it off is if I take the fender liner off. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just gonna let this sit here for now, and then I'm gonna cut it and modify it. So I'm gonna make like a steel or something plate that goes from here to there and connects back to the fender over here. And that'll be way better than this, because this just looks ugly and it doesn't really do anything anyway. Except, I mean, it could protect the oil pan, but the car, I mean, it's not really sitting that low to where it would damage something unless I was like off-roading. So, I mean, I guess it protects from water, but there's not really anything under here that could get damaged from water. And plus, I'm not going to be really driving this car in the rain too often anyway. So I'm pretty sure I just figured out why all that oil was on the side of the oil pan. The oil pan's not leaking. The oil filter wasn't on. There was no, this was like on, but wasn't even hand tight. I unscrewed this with my 2 fingers. And that's why all that oil was on the plastic pan. Oh my god, now I know where all the oil went. Because I was driving it and I'm like, it's not burning it. I don't smell any out of the exhaust, but like, and I don't see it dripping either. I'm like, where the hell is all of the oil going? It was going on the skid plate, and this was never on. This is located right, like I took this off, it's dry. There's nothing on it because the oil, all the oil's been sitting. So when I took it off, it's directly above the skid plate and all the oil was going there. You can even see like on the sides here where it was leaking. Like that's, when you do an oil change, just do it right. I don't understand. Just put the fucking filter on. It's not hard. It's not even in a hard place. I could change the filter from the top of the engine. You don't even need to go underneath. Just tighten it. It doesn't take long. So I just started it and I let all the oil circulate through it. When I turned it off, it was a little low again. That's because all the oil is, going through all the galleries of the engine. So I put all the oil in. I think it took exactly like 5 quarts or something like that, like on the dot. So I put the rest of the oil in it, and it was good. And I mean, it's running now. It's a lot quieter than it was, like a lot of less engine chatter, which is normal because I changed the oil. But I don't know if it might have been losing oil pressure. I hope I didn't damage anything in the engine because the people who did it before, but it might have been losing oil pressure because it didn't have the filter all the way screwed on, and it might have not ruined the engine, but I don't think I ran it long enough for it to matter that much. But it's good now, and that's what matters. The kit came with these like metal brackets, and they're like really flimsy aluminum. I don't know what they're for because it's pretty snug in there, and there's like no bolt holes on the actual intake to like actually use these. So I don't know if this is, I don't know. I'm just not going to use them because it's pretty snug in there. Like it's not going anywhere. So I'm going to start it up, give her a couple revs, see what she sounds like. Alright, I just finished doing the intake, and I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like a minor 4AG because it's the same block. The only difference is really the head, but it kind of has that 4AG like low-end grunt. It's obviously, it dies out when you get to the higher RPMs, but it's got that little grunt like a 4AG does, and I'm like super excited. It sounds so cool. So I just want to thank everyone for watching. That was technically part 2 of me building my car. But before I end this video, I have to do one more thing. Now this is art.